Hey friends, it's Michael. In today's video, we are going to be doing some list building for the new edition of the Horus Heresy. We are going to be starting with the Age of Darkness box set. So let's go ahead and take a look at everything that is going on in that box set. So the new box set gives you a lot of content for your money. You get 2 characters, 40 tactical marines, 10 Cataphractii Terminators, a Spartan Assault Tank, and a Contemptor Dreadnought. Now, I've built a list using all of those contents. I have put it together in the Quartermaster app, which at the moment is a paid app that's only available on Apple, unfortunately. However, I find that I get a lot of use out of it. It's a fantastic app. I really like the way that it formats your army lists afterwards. And so, yeah, Quartermaster if you feel like looking it up and using it yourself. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. Let's flip this thing around. So starting with the troops section, for our list, you can see what I've done here. I've gone ahead and used the 40 tactical marines and split them into 3 separate tactical squads. One is 20 tactical marines, and then 2 identical 10-man tactical squads. All of these have a Nuncio Vox and a Legion Vexilla, because I think those come in super handy. The 20-man squad also has an augury scanner. And I tried to basically build each of these options with what you get in the box, without any sort of extraneous items. And so all of these tactical squads do have line, which means that they can hold objectives. The idea here is that the 20-man tactical squad is going to be in your Spartan Assault Tank to more safely get them up the field, paired with a Praetor. The Praetor has a Paragon Blade and a Volkite Charger. I believe in addition to that, he also has, let's take a quick look. He should also have Master of the Legion, which unlocks Rights of War for you. And I believe he also has Artificer Armor and an Iron Halo as standard. So this is going to be your big melee beat stick, basically. The Paragon Blade lets him take on all sorts of AP3 enemies. And yeah. So, Praetor and the 20-man tactical squad in the Spartan Assault Tank. We're looking at the Spartan right here. I've gone ahead and put hull-mounted las cannons on the Spartan. The idea here is that you're going to be using the Spartan as part of your anti-tank, especially since it already comes with las cannon sponsons. The Contemptor Dreadnought is under elites. I gave him a Gravis las cannon and a Gravis power fist. And then you have 2 Cataphractii Terminator squads. I split these apart because I think 2 5-man squads are a little bit easier to use than 1 single 10-man squad. One of these is equipped to take on vehicles with power fists and chain fists. The other is equipped with Lightning Claws to take on tactical marines. And all total, this list comes to a little over 1,900 points, which I think is actually a pretty good deal. The other character is a Centurion, and you can put this guy with either of the tactical squads if you feel like it. And here you have a basic list using your Age of Darkness box. You don't need to add a whole bunch to this list in order to expand it out to 2,500 points. Hey guys, so I just covered the basic Age of Darkness box set and showed you how that box set comes to roughly 1,900 points. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next step, which is to expand it to 2,500 points. So what I've done here, I'll go over the additions to the basic army list. What I've added is a second Contemptor Dreadnought, armed the exact same way as the first one, with a las cannon and a Dreadnought close combat weapon. I've also added a 5-man tactical support squad armed with plasma guns. Plasma guns are really handy against any sort of power armor because of their special rules. I've also gone and added a 5-man missile launcher heavy support squad. Missile launchers tend to be fairly versatile because you can use either frag missiles or crack missiles. Crack missiles are strength 8, and I think, if I remember correctly, they are AP 3, so they will kill Marines. You can also use them to glance most vehicles because strength 8 works well against everything up to and including armor 14. You will need 6s in order to glance an armor 14 vehicle, but for the most part, this is also what the las cannons on the Spartan and your Contemptor Dreadnoughts are for, as well as the close combat weapons on the Contemptors. I've also gone ahead and added in a single Rhino armed with a Dozer Blade for one of the 10-man tactical squads. With these additions, the army list now comes to 2,498 points. This is still a very general list. It does have some decent anti-infantry. It has a good number of anti-tank weapons, and it's fairly easy to build up to this level just using the Age of Darkness box set and a couple of other additions to that box set. Note that this is without any Primarchs, any resin units or miniatures or upgrades from Forge World. All of this is plastic. All of this should be fairly easily available. I usually recommend, sorry, got a little bit shaky there. So what I usually recommend if you are building your Heresy stuff is to try and find an online discounter if you can. That said, please, please, please make sure that you try and support your local friendly game shop if your local game shop is a place where you frequently play. It's all about supporting the small businesses where you actually play your games of Horus Heresy. Obviously, if you have a home table and a game room in your house or apartment, or if you play at a local club that is not a game store, this is slightly less important for you. But do try to support the places where you play. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, so what we've got here, I'm going to cover the 2,500 point list real quick. We have 2 characters made from the box set. We have a Praetor and a Centurion. We have a 20-man tactical squad. We have a 10-man tactical squad. We have another 10-man tactical squad in a Rhino. And then we have a 5-man tactical support squad armed with plasma guns. For the elites, we have a 5-man Cataphractii Terminator squad armed with a combination of Power Fists and Chain Fists. We have a 5-man Cataphractii Terminator squad armed with Lightning Claws. We have 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts, both identically armed with a Gravis las cannon and a Gravis Power Fist. And then under heavy support, we have the Land Raider Spartan armed with hull-mounted las cannons, and a 5-man heavy support squad armed with missile launchers for a total of 2,498 points. All plastic, no resin, no Primarchs, no Forge World units whatsoever. And this is a list that should work for pretty much all Legion armies. Whether you're playing a Loyalist army, a Traitor army, this will work for all of them. And you can expand from here in whatever direction you would like, whether you want to go with more vehicles, more infantry, more elite units. It's completely up to you. You can swap these in and out as you want. But this is a really great core starting list for your collection, I think. Okay, next up in today's list building video, we have a quick list that I put together that I think might be an example of a fairly broken and overpowered Alpha Legion list. And I will go ahead and list the list, and then I will explain why I think this is a somewhat overpowered Alpha Legion list. So, starting off, we are, in today's list, taking Alpharius as our warlord. He has a number of special rules that I'm going to get to in a couple minutes. Next up, for our elites, we have a Contemptor Dreadnought Talon featuring 3 Contemptor Dreadnoughts, all armed with Melta Cannons and Gravis Power Fists. We also have an Apothecarian detachment with 2 Apothecaries. One of these will have Artificer armor. For our troops choices, we have 2 15-man tactical squads. Both of these are pretty much identical. The sergeants will have Artificer armor and power swords. We also have 2 5-man reconnaissance squads, armed exactly the same way, all of them with Nemesis bolters. That gives you a total of 10 Nemesis bolters between these 2 squads. For our fast attack, we have a squad of 10 Headhunters. These guys are armed just with the basic Headhunter equipment, but I do have a single multi-melta in the list. The Headhunter Prime has Artificer armor. Under heavy support, we have a Sicaran Arcus squadron containing 2 Sicaran Arcus tanks. Basic equipment on these, nothing special. We also have 10 heavy support marines armed with las cannons. And a Kratos tank squadron with a single Kratos tank in it. That is the list. It comes to 3,000 points exactly. And let's go ahead and talk about why it's a potentially very dirty list. Okay, starting off with this list, let's go ahead and cover some of the basics. So, you have 2 big tactical squads. Both of these tactical squads will have apothecaries attached. These will be for holding and securing objectives. When sitting on an objective, these tactical squads are going to have a 4-up Feel No Pain save, thanks to the apothecaries. Because they are 15 men strong, they will be harder to remove than smaller tactical squads would be. Yeah, that's troops choices. I think that's pretty self-explanatory there. Elites choices. We have 3 full Contemptor Dreadnoughts, which are very powerful in this edition, thanks to their new toughness and wounds statistics. Dreadnoughts, Contemptor Dreadnoughts at least, have a 2-up armor save, as well as a 5-up invulnerable save. They are toughness, I believe it's toughness 7 with 6 wounds apiece, which makes them incredibly difficult to wound. Actually, let me go ahead and pull out the handy book I have here real quick and look that up because I am curious. So dreadnoughts are going to be incredibly difficult to remove thanks to their toughness and wounds. This makes for a really bad video because I'm flipping through books and you guys can't see me flipping through books. Okay, Contemptor Dreadnoughts are toughness 7, 6 wounds apiece, 2-up armor save, as well as a 5-up invulnerable save. 3 of these makes for a total of 18 wounds, and they're going to be really hard to take out. The Apothecaries are also fairly self-explanatory because those go with the tactical squads, making for 4-up Feel No Pain saves on anything that is camping on an objective. The Headhunters are there to effectively kill characters and Primarchs. What makes Headhunters incredibly dangerous is that they have Relentless, which means that they can fire the multi-melta even after moving. They have precision shots on a 4+. They have ballistic skill 5, meaning that most of the time you will get off your precision shots, meaning you can pick your targets. This is going to allow you to more easily target characters. You will be able to snipe out opposing Praetors, Primarchs, and whatever else you feel like. They also have the preferred enemy independent character rule, which makes them even more effective against the things I just listed. They innately have Infiltrate and Scout, allowing you to basically put them wherever you want to put them. Let me see, what else is there? I think that's basically it for Headhunters. They are a skirmish unit, which means they can have up to 3 inches between each of them for unit coherency. This makes them a lot less liable to get taken out by template weapons. And they also have Banestrike Bolters, which gives them, I believe it gives them rending on a 6+, which will go through regular power armor because it's rending. Let me see here. I'm doing the thing again where I'm looking through the rules, which is not good. Yeah, Banestrike Bolters. So they're slightly lower range than regular bolters at only 18 inches. However, they are strength 5 and AP 4, rapid fire, and breaching 6+. Nope. Rapid fire, twin linked, and breaching 6+. So in the case that you actually do happen to miss, you will get to re-roll those misses because they are Headhunters with Banestrike combi bolters. So the Headhunters are basically your character killers. Next up, under heavy support, we have the 2 Arcus, the 2 Sicaran Arcus tanks. These are going to be incredibly dangerous against a lot of things. The missiles are strength 8, AP 2. I'm really bad at this, guys. I'm sorry. I can find these weapons, I promise. I know they're in here somewhere. Okay. Yep, so the Arcus warheads are range 36, strength 8, AP 2, heavy 5, and twin linked. So each of these Arcuses is going to get 5 shots per turn. They are twin linked, meaning that you will get to reroll misses. Strength 8 is instant death for anything that is toughness 4 or less, which means that it will kill both Space Marines and Terminators that fail their saves. Strength 8 is also good against pretty much all vehicles, up to and including AP 14 Land Raiders and Spartans. You will need to roll 6s in order to glance these vehicles. But again, you're getting 10 shots a turn between both Arcus tanks. That's dangerous. This is basically a large part of your anti-tank right here. In addition to this, the 10-man missile launcher no, sorry, the 10-man las cannon squad is also going to be a danger to any vehicles on the board. And you can also fire back at anything that fires at you using one of your basic reactions, which is also dangerous because they're all wielding las cannons. The last thing is the Kratos tank. I included this mostly because I think it's a cool vehicle. It is one of the new Horus Heresy tanks. There are no upgrades or anything on this. I'm not exactly sure even what a Kratos tank does because I haven't quite looked at it yet, but I do think it is a fun addition to this list. So next up, let's go ahead and explain exactly why I think this list is a little bit overpowered and possibly broken. And all of this has to do with Alpharius's special rules. So Alpharius, if he's your warlord, which in this list he is, has the Sire of the Alpha Legion rule. And this rule, at the start of the battle, after all models from all armies have been deployed, including units deployed using Infiltrate, and after any scout moves have been made, Alpharius's controlling player may select up to 3 friendly units composed entirely of models with the Legionis Astartes Alpha Legion special rule. These can be redeployed to any position in the deployment zone or placed into reserves. There's number 1. So anything in this army, after full deployment, if I don't like where any of my things are placed compared to my opponent's deployment, I can move those units. Note that this rule is for units. This also includes vehicles, infantry. Pretty much anything can be redeployed as the Alpha Legion player wishes. And the rule also lets Alpharius's player gain an additional reaction during any... We just drifted a little bit there, sorry. During any phase, and you get to pick this from turn to turn. Meaning sometimes you can choose to have an additional reaction in your assault phase. Sometimes you can have an additional reaction in your movement phase. It is completely up to you. The next awesome rule that Alpharius has is everywhere and nowhere. So this lets you give Alpharius one of the special rules, Infiltrate, Scout, or Deep Strike. Alpharius's controlling player may select up to 3 friendly units composed entirely of models with the Legionis Astartes Alpha Legion special rule to receive the same special rule granted to Alpharius. So here is what I'm thinking. What you do, you pick Infiltrate, and you infiltrate your Contemptor Dreadnought Talon. Keep in mind this is all 3 Contemptor Dreadnoughts in one single unit that gets to infiltrate, meaning you can put these as close, well, barring all the infiltrate special limitations, but you can suddenly have a Contemptor Dreadnought Talon as close to your army, your opponent's deployment as you possibly can get it. Remember how tough Contemptor Dreadnoughts are to take out in this edition. You can also infiltrate the tactical squads if you choose to. You could infiltrate the Headhunters, which already have infiltrate natively. But if you wanted to, you could infiltrate Alpharius with the Headhunters for a very dangerous alpha strike on your opponent's army. You can also infiltrate the Sicaran Arcus squadron, which is stupid but funny, to suddenly have 2 hidden Sicaran Arcus strike tanks appearing far closer to your enemy's lines than he ever expected. Or you could infiltrate the Kratos tank if you really felt like it. And I think that's part of what makes this list dangerous, is the sheer number of deployment and infiltrate shenanigans for this list. And I think that's part of why it is so overpowered and possibly kind of broken. This is kind of an extreme example, but this is one of the fun things with the Alpha Legion list. Another cool thing about this list is that reconnaissance marines come standard with shroud bombs, which means that for purposes of any shooting attack, they count as 6 inches further away than normal. This stacks with the Alpha Legion Legiones Astartes rule, which states that all Alpha Legion Astartes units count as 2 inches further away for the purposes of shooting attacks and reactions, and I believe charges as well, which means that those reconnaissance marines are suddenly 8 inches further away than they actually are, which makes them incredibly difficult to target with most infantry-based weapons. And because the Nemesis bolters have a 72-inch range, these are going to be really hard for your opponent to take out and remove. The Nemesis bolters also let you cherry pick characters, sergeants, and other important units from 72 inches away. So I think that's pretty cool. So there you have it, a fairly interesting Alpha Legion's shenanigans list. Keep in mind that those Contemptor Dreadnoughts will be within fairly close range at the start of the game, which means that your opponent has to focus overwhelming firepower on 3 of these things in order to try to take them out before they very suddenly get into your opponent's army lines and cause a ton of trouble. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, so last but not least, I wanted to have a quick example of one of my usual lists that I tend to play. This is one that I put together before my last first edition game of Horus Heresy. So let's go ahead and go over some of these options. This is my last hurrah list. I did add this up using the new edition points values, and I was short by a decent amount, so I have added a couple of things. This is the new edition last hurrah list, which has not been played yet. But not a lot has changed. I've just added a couple things. Let's go ahead and take a look. So as the Warlord, we have Armillus Dynat. Great character. Great rules in 2nd edition, as far as I can tell. This is from no play experience so far. We have a Saboteur, who is not quite as good in the new edition as he used to be. I think this is going to take some testing to see the best ways to use a Saboteur coming up. For troops choices, we have a 20-man tactical squad. We have a 15-man tactical squad. We have an 8-man tactical support squad with plasma guns, because I'm a big fan of plasma guns. These guys are in a Rhino, and previously I had Dynat in the Rhino with this squad. For our elites, we have a 10-man veteran squad with 4 Magna combi weapons. These are the combi meltas, so they are one-shot only. These are for killing vehicles, obviously. We also have 2 power weapons in the unit for taking on tactical marines. Now, veterans have, I think, increased in utility in 2nd edition because they now have 2 wounds apiece. They have weapon skill 5. And so I think they're going to be a really solid unit going forward. We have 8 veteran Space Marines with 3 power weapons in this unit in a Rhino. We have a Contemptor Dreadnought Talon with a conversion beam cannon and a Gravis las cannon. This is the sit back and shoot things from a distance Contemptor Dreadnought. The conversion beamer really did a lot of work in the previous edition. I'm curious to see how it performs in the next edition. We also had a single apothecary detachment with one apothecary, and I don't remember exactly what squad he was attached to, but apothecaries are great, so why not take them? Heavy support, we had a single Sicaran battle tank, which is one of my favorite Horus Heresy era miniatures, and I always enjoy putting one of those in my lists. It just looks really cool, and it's a nice looking tank. We have a single Scorpius tank, which did a lot of work previously. I think it is, I don't think it's quite as good in the new edition, but I am curious to try it out on the tabletop. Then we have 5 heavy support marines with missile launchers. I mentioned these in a previous list. These are very versatile due to their both crack and flak missiles. So multi-use against infantry and vehicles both. And then last but not least, we have a Predator tank, just a single one. Last year I painted 2 of these for my Alpha Legion army. They are both Mars pattern. They are both equipped with dozer blades. Now that the Deimos Predator has been announced, I am very interested in adding more to my army, because it is super exciting that the rounded Deimos variant now has a plastic mini coming up. That is super cool. I'm looking forward to building some of those when they finally release. And that's an example of a, well, I was going to say a 2,500 point list. This list is 30 points short. I can always add a couple of things here and there. I think in the new edition, things like Nuncio Voxes, Legion Vexillas, and Augury Scanners are going to be more useful. Augury Scanners especially because they allow you to use the Interceptor advanced reaction to shoot at incoming deep striking units and flyers, which is a potentially game-changing move. And so yeah, you can see that I tend to try to build somewhat, I don't know the best way to put this, all fairly rounded lists. I try not to skew too much in any one single direction. And that as a fairly casual, non-competitive player, and I mean non-competitive here in the sense that I like to win games, because everybody I think likes to win games, but I'm also not going to put together a crazy, super overpowered tier list or anything along those lines if I can help it. I want my opponent to have just as good of a game experience as I'm personally having, and so that informs a lot of my list building. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. I'm always open to suggestions on what other videos to tackle when it comes to Horus Heresy content, and I will talk to you guys soon, hopefully in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.